And we are live. It is Sunday, October 18th. This is the STEMinist panel. If you didn't know, now you know. We are holding it down, wrapping up a virtual Curly weekend, and it has been amazing to get to talk with women in throughout the nation about a variety of issues. On Friday, we got to talk to women about the Crown Act and how to get it passed in your state. On Saturday, we got to meet Yvette Dion and learn about her book, The Lifting as We Climb, the Black Woman's Battle for the Ballot Box. And today we have a wonderful panel of Black STEMinists and women engaging in the STEAM fields to get Curly girls represented throughout. So with no further ado, I will bring up our national representation starting on the East Coast. Representing, we have Dr. Kimberly Uwe coming up. Hi, Dr. Kim.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Kimberly Uwe, and I'm a pharmacist by training, and I run the HIV clinic programs at Safeway Pharmacies.
Awesome. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
And now next we have holding it down in Colorado. We have some great representation. Dr. Janelle Lindsay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Janelle Lindsay. I work with the Community College of Denver to make sure that students get in STEM and STEAM and stay in STEAM.
Yes. Stay steamy, right? I'm cheesy, so that's fine. Also, we have coming next to the screen another woman in STEAM, Black leader and GECO founder. We have nuclear engineer and physicist Toy Massey. Hi, Toy. Toy, we can't hear you. Unmute yourself real quick. Sorry.
There we are. Good morning.
Hey.
We got it now. Yeah, so I'm in here live today with the mission to embrace the uninitiated child and change the face of technology forever. I'm glad to.
And yes, we are. Look, I'm ready. And last but not least, we have our representation in California. Yay! Dr. Jen Roper. Welcome to the screen.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Dr. Jen Roper. I am an assistant professor at Loyola Marymount University. I basically teach in the field of health and human sciences, kinesiology, stuff like that.
I wish I could just hear the song Wipe Me Down, because I just want to wipe all y'all shoulders down because you are doing it for the Curly community, representing for Black women in STEM and STEAM. And it's really just an honor to even know you and to call you a colleague of mine. I'm just like humbled. I'm like, hi, I know these people, but really excited to share with the world what you all are up to, and also get some information about your experience in STEAM. So that way, when our Curly friends end up in these fields and like Dr. Janelle trying to keep folks in it, they are not shocked completely or feel unprepared when certain obstacles come up. So they'll see people have done it and they can too, and be prepared for whatever comes their way. So one of the first questions I wanted to dig into was just what influencers in your life led you to engage in the STEAM field? And anyone can contribute and answer that question, because obviously we're all connected in some kind of way. So excited to hear your responses.
I'll go first and try to keep it pretty short. I was blessed to be raised in a household with a very progressive woman, my mother. She was an educator, 35 years, and we recently lost her, but she made it very clear that there was really nothing that I could not do and would not be supported in doing, as long as it was character building and positive in that space. And so when I would say I want to be a physician, she'd say, okay, that's what you'll be. And I said, well, I think now I'm going to do engineering. And she said, that's great. That's what you'll do. And I said, well, now I want to do nuclear engineering, but I want to do all my research in nuclear medicine. She was just my greatest champion in that space. And so and then when I was about in the 10th grade, a man by the name of Kenneth Hill, he started the Detroit area pre-college engineering program. And we were the first 15 kids. He was trying to map African-American youth with actual engineers who were working within the big three, Chrysler, Ford, GM. And so with that experience under my belt, I was just focused that I would do engineering undergrad and then I would do medicine after that. And things changed. I did physics undergrad, did engineering graduate school, and then on a dare from my brother, who is a physician, I left engineering and went to medical school. So it's just an amazing opportunity that it just creates a platform for everything. But it was the arts that actually just kept me engaged. And so we'll talk about that a little more. But yeah, I would say it was definitely coming from the home first, and any influences that would support that mission of mine, my mother made it available to me. That's probably my story in how this all started. Because as you know, it ain't many of us that look like me and you in this field. So trust me, it was definitely the support of the community and family that kept it going.
Thank you. Thank you. Very inspirational and just relevant. Having those influencers from your home is really vital, right? A lot of times, you know, someone to believe in you and speak life into your dreams is imperative, whether you're STEM or not, whatever it is, right? So thank you for sharing. Anybody else who wants to share how did you get into your field? Kim, we want to be able to hear you real quick. Unmute so we can hear you. Yes.
So my mom's actually a nurse, so I would kind of like play with her scrubs as a kid. Like, I was a nurse for Halloween for like 5 years. And then when I got to college, I really loved the sciences. That was like one of the few things where I actually got to beat the boys into. So I was like, oh, I'm like good at this and I enjoy it. Then, you know, I like exploring different things. And then I got into pharmacy. Like one of my mentors, she owns her own pharmacy. She's a mom. One thing, just driving. So I was like, oh, like she's winning in all facets of her life. And she still answers the title of doctor. So she kind of took me under her wing and like opened the doors for me in terms of what I could do for myself personally as well as with my career. And like even now, it's like one thing that was always important to me as a health professional is being able to serve my community. Sometimes we get many times we get overlooked, and it's because people just don't see us. So I wanted to make sure I came back to that. So I work in Southeast DC for that very reason. So they're like, oh, you're a pharmacist? Yes. like you said, I'm here to serve you. And I'm really thankful that I've had people just push me in this direction and train me and mentor me.
Thanks, Kim. It was to hear you for a few moments, but some of the things that I gathered from what you were sharing was that you had a family member who's a nurse, and also that your influence in STEAM also led you to make sure that you were representing for your community that was often, I heard, overlooked. And you had another word you said, overlooked, and I can't remember what you said. What did you say? Sorry, unmute.
Mentorship in STEM, I think, is really important. So like I was really fortunate where I found a mentor who was an African American woman that I saw parts of her, not just professionally, but personally, that I could relate to. And I know like a lot of times like, oh, if you're in those fields, you may or may not have families, but I was like, oh, like she's doing it, like she's of her community. And so I just really appreciate it. She was a person, like a whole person. So that really stuck to me. And I encourage anyone who's in STEM to seek out mentorship. Like I wouldn't be here without my mentors. So that's really important.
Well, that mentorship definitely is a vital role in ensuring that you know, you are on the right path and a place for advice when you reach certain obstacles. So I definitely can concur. Thank you. Oh, okay. We have next opportunity to hear from either Dr. Roper or Dr. Lindsay. What would you say and what would you like to share?
I'll jump in. My mother taught math for many years, and so even though I might want to fight it, I think I have a math brain. I like doing solving problems, and so I have always admired those in STEM fields and STEAM fields, and I'm so glad that they added the arts to the term STEM, because I think it is so important to use all parts of our brains and our hearts and our souls and our bodies to make this world go. I'm just fortunate to be able to work with students who look like me, who don't look like me, who want to be in the STEM fields, and to keep them motivated and going strong in their field. And so I just want to make sure that they get all they need, have the information that they want so that they can move forward. And that's the only reason I exist at the Community College of Denver, and it is truly a privilege.
Well, that's not the only reason you exist, but it's a very important reason.
Well, CCD, that's why I exist at CCD. But,
that too, but you know what? I'm so glad that we could meet in the first place there, because it had been a lonely road. So being able to meet such a phenomenal woman and just know that you are playing this, you are standing in this vital space, crucial, because what we know is some folks don't have the mentorship, family influence, nor access. And so you're providing that guidance where otherwise we wouldn't even have, you just need a little kick. I wish I had just one little more push into engineering, and I probably maybe would have done it. I don't know. But even
it's
just
not too late, sis. It's not too late.
And next, no. I'm cool where I'm at right now, but you know what? I think that as an educator, I do use some engineering for sure, because I'm coordinating rooms and all the above and making sure kids feel safe. And that's definitely a special skill, using problem solving, critical thinking, and innovation. So all of those qualities, I'm sure, count towards an engineer, which I know Toy can speak to even more. But Jen, Doctor, excuse me. Tell us, how was it for you? And how did you get into this field?
So, I really, to be honest, I didn't really have much influence growing up about sciences, about the STEM field. It was just, I always had a curious mind by nature, I guess. And so initially I wanted to go to med school and do that, and decided maybe it's not for me. And so then from there, I kind of just was like, well, what do I like? What interests me, and how can I make this into a career? And that kind of just led me into what I do now. And I think it's really important for many young Black women, especially, to understand that even though we don't necessarily see our representation or anywhere, that we can still make things happen, and we can still put our head down and persevere through a lot of things. And I think that's kind of essentially what even keeps me doing what I do, in the sense of I still have students that will be like, you're the first Black professor I've ever had. And that's important. And that's what keeps me motivated in doing what I do. Because if we think back, I don't remember having a Black woman professor at all. And so I think it's important that, we do have this representation, and that's, why I'm still doing what I do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm trying to think. I went to Creighton, and there were some Black female doctors, but I didn't take their classes, and they were not necessarily embedded in or representing specifically STEM. But what we also know is any research is going to involve those aspects. So we also need to be real clear with our kids, even and youth, that even if you're not specifically a scientist, you're still using these elements in your different fields of study. So if you're not going to lose math, you still got to engage in it and just remember it. But you really also are holding it down. Like, that's amazing that we're still hearing we haven't had a Black professor, and I'm sure we can go down the line, even Black teachers. I mean, and what I also want to just connect briefly is they have done some research and indicated there's some indicators that if a Black student has one Black educator before high school, and I think even through high school, before college, they're more likely to enroll, and then 3 times more likely to stay and enroll in college. And so it's really impactful to have just one. If we just had one, the Black students are able to thrive in a different way that historically we just hadn't shown the numbers. In certain states, for sure, it's a little different because of population and demographics, but still, to know the impact of a Black educator is phenomenal, and also necessary. So I applaud everybody teaching the youth and reaching out as well, and just standing in these spaces. So
can I add something to that, Ellie?
Please do.
So in the field of higher education, which is what I am trained in, we work really hard to convince the old guard that there are different ways to certify those to be a professor. And so those of us who are sitting here, we all have the credentials, right? But there are those who have the knowledge that might not have, quote unquote, the credentials that are often required for these kinds of positions. So young folks, as you all are going and growing and finding yourself in these spaces, make room for those who have the knowledge and might not have that quote unquote credential that is called for, whatever you want to call it, so that representation continues to grow in these higher education spaces. Because without that, the rules with tenure, the rules with all this stuff won't change. And so keep fighting. Thank you for your service and your work in higher education, because it is so, I feel you, sis. Right on.
Yeah, no,
I'm gonna pick
different.
on Lynn there, because it is important. Now, I born and raised in Detroit, educated in the Detroit public school system. My experience with respect to Black educators is, that's all we had. The minority would have been the white educator in the classroom. My principals were Black. My assistant principals were Black. Most of our classroom teachers were Black. When I went to college, my first HBCU was Xavier University of Louisiana. Again, we had, at that time, I'm introduced to educators from all over the world at that point. And even at Howard, where I did my graduate program, you have these educators that look like you, with one exception. The girls aren't there. So, you still don't have the women in these places. I taught adult learners in the accelerated college area, University of Phoenix. I taught there for over 10 years. And even in those spaces, my classrooms, I taught math and science in those spaces. And my classes would be waiting room only because of that very reason. People saying, well, I just wanted to have a woman, a Black woman in front of me. So you are absolutely correct. It is a critical component to advancing our seats at the table, occupied seats at the table. It's a critical component to making sure that whatever solutions are being introduced for quality of life has the complete solution. And that doesn't happen unless women, and especially women of color, and especially Black women, are at the table in these spaces. So with respect to higher education, absolutely. And one of the things we probably can do as we encourage young people, whatever their route is, whether it's to go to college, whether it's to gain certifications while in high school, and perhaps pursue different and additional learning mediums post that, consider giving back in that classroom. It is absolutely imperative. And I think the reward is greater than the work. Absolutely.
Powerful words. Let's see. We have a comment from Leslie Williams. Thank you. Yes, she said, thank you for saying that. Yes, everything you all have been sharing, resonates with a lot of us in education and just, I'm sure, parents, because it can get overwhelming. They feel like there's who's helping their kids. And even if they look like you, you're like, I need a little more specificity. Help my kid get here. So I just, again, applaud you all for standing in these spaces and sharing your story, because it's like, man, if I share it one more time, will someone get it, right? Like, I hope so. I am going to ask us to move on to the next question. And for me, it's important also to not separate your field from your being, right? Because a lot of times we have seen folks who are like, man, they're not really connected to the culture or themselves, or they're really, they're not, we get their authenticity. And that's, what we do know in education is going to keep kids engaged. So for you though, and as for a Black woman in these spaces, what is the relationship with your hair and in your profession? Like, how does that work? Because we know the Crown Act, it has been moving. It's in the House. It passed through the House of Representatives federally, and there's 5 states and a city that has passed it. Kansas City actually just passed it a couple of weeks ago, and it's slowly but surely getting some explanation in different spaces. Like, why is this relevant in the workplace? Why is this relevant at school? But for you, maybe your stories can be shared, and what is your relationship with your hair, and how has that impacted you professionally?
So I'll here, Judy, I think 2 years ago you blessed me with the opportunity to talk to the girls, and I spoke on the power of the double X factor. Genetically, of course, chromosomally, we are women. We have 2X chromosomes, and I talked about the power of the curly gene. The dominant gene for hair is the curly gene. And that message, I can only tell you, Annalise, afterwards, I had more folks calling me talking about, oh my God, I never thought of it, this hair that grows toward the sun. But I came through at a time when we really spent more time straightening it than letting it do its own thing. I can't even tell you, I wore well, as a little girl, it was press and curl. And then as I got older, I would press it myself. And then when I got to college in New Orleans, the humidity was nothing to fight with. So then I started straightening it, chemically. And so you either gonna straighten your hair physically or chemically, pressing it or putting this lye in it. And then of course they come out with the no lye, and that's supposed to be even gentler. The most liberating moment ever in my life was when I moved, interestingly enough, to Denver, Colorado, and my stylist said that your hair. With time is out. The freedom, because I like color.
Shoot, we may have lost you. I was into it too, because I know Joy, she's the owner of the Hair and Image Studio. So I am very familiar. Amazing work. She is definitely holding it down in Colorado for the curly girls. She's a stylist on the Curls on the Block app, mind you. You could click and get to her site and book an appointment if you're in the Mile High. But I think we got her back. Toy.
I'm having. Am I the only one having crazy connections? I'm having
Um,
crazy connection here. I don't know. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. And the last thing that I remember hearing, yes, but it's
talking
choppy.
about Joy, my hair, growing it out.
Yes, and the color. You were talking about how you like
hair. I love color. I love so the most liberating moment was to free myself of the creamy crack, getting that perm out of my hair. In the workplace, I have not had the experience of wearing natural hair in the traditional corporate space, because I had left corporate to start the Jekyll Foundation some 2012, but I feel absolutely empowered to wear my hair natural when I'm doing training or when I'm in the professional space with folks that don't look like me. And it's almost more powerful to do so because as they say that they want these equitable spaces and these places where diversity is welcome, nothing tells the story more than how they react to my hair. And so, with that being said, I think it's absolutely ridiculous at this point that we're still even fighting about the power of our hair and what it does or who it makes uncomfortable. And because really, the defense of it should not even be ours. They need to ask themselves, why is this an issue, this woman's hair? So I applaud the Crown Act. And I applaud the sisters that are continuously championing the wearing of our natural hair and making folks uncomfortable with the beauty of this hair that grows towards the sun, because it's pure power. It's pure power. Yeah. So it's interesting to watch. And we have to keep pushing forward. And I love it when I see the little girls who are no longer feeling like they got to have their hair straight. I think I was 8 years old when I came home and told my mother, interestingly enough, that was changing my name and I was not going to take ballet. I wanted African dance.
Well, she definitely told somebody what she was going to do. So, Toy, thank you so much for sharing those powerful stories. And our hair is our power, right? There's some power in these follicles. And I would love to hear, first of all, I want to also shout out Kim because Kim taught me some cool what I've never had learned some skills growing up, and Kim taught me one in particular, how to make a wig. So it was super cool I was like, oh, people do that. And I mean, I'm not gonna put, you told me some other things, secrets too, trade secrets, they're safe with me. But I was so shocked to see your to learn how fast I could make a wig. I mean, it took a little bit of time to get used to it, but I have incorporated that in the Curls on the Block curriculum. But for you, what would you say is your relationship with your hair and in the, I don't know, in education, your pursuit of your degree?
So, like, for me in hair professionalism, it's always worked in my favor, which I know that's not a common story. For me, hair was always freedom and expression, and I was always an artsy person in the science classes. They all knew I always had like a whole art side outside of the classroom, so it worked for me. But then when pharmacy school came around, you have limited time. Like, I needed to be efficient, and as a Black woman, your branding and how you present yourself is really important. Like my mom always said, dress how you want to be addressed. So I was like, I don't have the hour long anymore to spend like puffing and spraying and curling. I just didn't. So I was like, you know what? I need consistency. So I literally had different cheap wigs I made. Like, I literally got some yucky nappy hair and like it would look like mine. And even as my hair grew, I just kept making the wigs longer. So like, you couldn't tell the difference, and it worked for me. Like I said, man, there's one time I took like 22 units for a whole year, and an undergrad, the struggle was real. I learned my lessons. So when I got to grad school, I was like, you need to do better. And now it's been great. Like, my hair's actually a lot healthier because it's technically a protective style. Like, I don't believe you should really be touching your hair when you're stressed because, you may take it out your beautiful hair to crown. So, yeah, I'm all about power of the wig. Work. There's so many different types. Like, you can make them, buy them. Tresses has so many different natural looking ones. Like, you can be a different type of woman every day and be natural at the same time. So it works.
You showed it to me. I was like, girl, what? That is not a wig. And you know, like you said, though, you created some consistency so you wouldn't shock folks later, like, what? Because we know what comes with that, right? Sometimes it's the can I? No, you can't touch my hair, right? So when you change it up a lot, sometimes people are wanting to learn a little bit more. But I still feel like we with the Crown Act, we still see from protective styles, wearing it out naturally, to weaves and extensions, all of the above. That's the point, right? To be able to be free to wear it how we want. We don't necessarily have to feel at the same amount of pressure where it was a political statement to wear your hair in a fro. Isn't that crazy? A natural hairstyle is a political statement, and it's just we're at this point now where we can really see. Look, I straightened it last week. I'm not gonna lie, did check it out. You know, I was like, okay, it's been a year, but it didn't last a week. I'm telling y'all, I was like, I can't even do this. It was cute, and I just know I felt a little hypocritical because I was still saying stay curly, but the point was I made sure my hair was healthy too. And so that's the other thing, like you were saying, Kim, is like to make sure folks, regardless of what style you're presenting, that at your roots, it's, you know, still healthy. And I know I have one of the viewers on is Megan Green. She and I have one of our next collaborations is To the Root of Beauty, a global conversation on hair. And all of these issues come up. And we're, you know, even in the motherland, you know, we have just this unique connection with hair, and we all are on a journey. So I know that for sure, you know, we're different phases, and I have a couple cute wigs, but I get the wigs where I don't look the same. So I'm like, yep, nope, I'm trying to be incognita, but you know, it's just the point is, I should be able to do whatever I want. And don't judge me based on my hair. NDRE, I am not my hair. I'm more than that. I'm inclusive of that. It's a form of expression, but it's not to limit me from anything based on your own bias or prejudice or preference, right? Okay, you can have a preference. That don't mean it's going to be what I am doing. So the last thing I want to wrap up with, just maybe you all are compelled to share what's one exciting thing about your field that you would love to share with up and coming STEMinists and Black girls and curl friends that would maybe help them to make that decision? Yep, I'm a doctor. Not I can be, I will be, I am, right? Or I will get that PhD, I will get that MD, that PharmD, that nuclear, I will be a nuclear engineer, right? I'll be the physicist, or I am, the I am statements. I don't know if y'all watched Lovecraft Country, but there's a whole episode talking about I am. And it's just the acknowledgement, you are whatever it is you want. So what would you say to a little curl friend looking for some advice about in your field to get involved?
I can start.
Oh, go ahead.
Jen, you're next. Okay.
Okay. I think the one thing about my field is, again, I do a lot of research. I'm constantly researching. And so it's like, I never have my curiosity not satisfied, right? So I'm always learning new things, even myself as an educator, even how to educate, just constantly learning. And I think the nice thing is that what I do is physics applied to the human body. And so it's like, I know so many different parts and things, and it's never the same day the same day over and over again. I'm always doing something different. And I think that as long as, especially females, Black females, as long as we are on this quest to learn, I think it moves kind of society forward in a whole. And I feel like that's kind of like what my field does, is that we're assisting with that movement forward and that progress. So That's one of the things that keeps me excited about it. So hopefully some others feel the same
Well,
way.
that's really good to highlight, because sometimes people think, oh man, I'm going to be doing the same thing over and over. And if that's not your personality, even though you have like a skill or ability, you're like, man, you might get bored or burned out. And so it is good to know that, hey, every day is different and you can make it what you want, especially with research. You're like, hey, I'm interested in this. Let's go, and follow suit with, your aspirations or curiosities. Anyone else want to share? I know Dr. Lindsay, go ahead.
So I want quick one thing. Toy, I see those beautiful letters of Delta Sigma Theta on your shirt. And I don't know that we have crossed paths in Denver. And so I'm going to reach out to you.
Okay.
I thought y'all
Yes,
knew each
ma'am.
other. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah.
met,
No, we will now.
But we have not, we don't know each other.
Look, I'm a connector.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
And so I just wanted to say, this is probably the first generation, our young ones, that will see folks that really look like them in almost every one of the STEAM industries. And so it is really because of the movements of the 21st century. Can you believe it's the 21st? Anyway, so of the 21st century that has made that, have made that happen. And so we cannot underestimate the power, as we have talked about today, of representation and how much that matters. Now these billion-dollar companies are going to the HBCUs to recruit their next scientists and their next ones that will make that billion-dollar idea and help them get richer. And now, thankfully, they are recognizing them. They needed a little bit of force, but it is there. And so I cannot underestimate or can't say enough how important it is to look at those faces, and that the faces are changing, and how important that is over the next few years. And so I'm just grateful that the change has happened, and it is happened, and it will continue to happen with these beautiful faces here, the beautiful faces that are live with us. So continue your quest, don't quit, and keep moving forward.
I love what
Now, wait a
my
second.
soror
Did I hear
said.
that there's some other Deltas on here?
I love
There's
that
literally
what my soror
3 of
said.
y'all. I
Here's
didn't
the deal.
Is it a Delta party? I
Our
was like, wait a second. I know I caught that.
now the Delta's coming in. Oh, is that another soror on here too? Okay, but our babies have been STEM girls all their lives. They've been doing things in these fields all their lives, whether it was trying to make a decision and a choice on how they were going to build their little doll houses, or whether they were using Lego blocks to build different types of structures, whether they were on the beaches on the West Coast with my soror and building sand castles, everything from constructional engineering to thermodynamic heat transfer in the kitchen when they turning the stove up to boil water or turning it down to keep it from overboiling. We have got to make the association between what it is they enjoy doing and the STEM fields. If they love doing hair, cosmetology, trust me, that's all anatomy, that's chemistry, that's biology. So we have to encourage them and remove the mystery from what this STEM thing is, because they've been doing this all their lives. Now I'm real adamant about pouring that into them, removing the mystery, making them comfortable in spaces that they truly are familiar with. If they took a glass of white milk and added red ketchup to it when they were 3 years old at the restaurant and got pink, they were doing science. So we've got to absolutely encourage them to keep going. In fact, if they're watching today, we need you innovators not to create something new, but to improve on some existing things. Because as you see, I've had all kinds of technical difficulties today. So I need you in these spaces fixing these problems.
You know what? Preach on. And, I will put a little plug in, because at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we're going to hear from 8 young STEMinists who are willing to share their idea, product, or service in the Miss Curly pageant. So definitely still register to just get your little free ticket on so you can watch. And if you're compelled, if you're compelled to learn more about the contestants, I will put the link for the contestant page, and you can actually vote for your favorite girlfriend. And so I'm really grateful because this is just full circle and so many connections already. And I'm excited that I'm in the company of such amazing women, and I'm grateful again for your time. You have definitely inspired me because, you know, it gets really lonely sometimes, and I may not have the specific experience as an engineer or a doctor or what have you, but like you said, I'm working with it every day. So that engagement definitely is what we want to push and share, that, hey, you're doing it already and we are representing. And so respect. And it's the I am that we got to focus on too. So with that, I am going to have a sign off. And as usual, I'm going to encourage you to stay curly. So thank you all, the panelists. And I am excited this panel will be available on YouTube and on our Facebook page. So again, if you want to check it out later, you can, and share it with all the curl friends. Again, thank you so much. And I have a shirt in the mail for y'all. I'm slow. I'm a little slow, but I thank you so much. And again, have a good rest of your Sunday.
Thank you so much.
Bye.